Alright, in this video I wanted to showcase what I think is the single most powerful defensive spell in Adventure Quest. I think a lot of people when it was released thought that it kind of was anti-synergistic, but I went ahead and got it and used it, and I've always, when I play a blocking build, or even just when I want to play defense, I always find that it's just so much more powerful than people give it credit for. I kind of think people who want to play defense or dodgelash even underestimate it. I can't even begin to really describe how good it is. The only scenario where it doesn't work out really well is versus monsters whose all of their resistances are low. Like sometimes you'll come across monsters who has like 50% to everything. It doesn't work particularly well there because it grows in power based on the elemental resistance. And the spell is called Mandate. And I'll just kind of show you. I like to use it a lot of times with Necromancer. So just by starting the battle, I have a 341 hit point barrier. I can switch over to Mana Crystal Defender, and what I'll show you here, and kind of the complete defensive package here. So I'm going against a water monster, albeit it's a group, so it'll be a little bit more powerful than a normal 115 monster. It's a low level monster. So it already ate into my little bit of a barrier. My water resistance is 89%, so that's pretty high. And I use, Lucky Beast Mage, Panic Guest, and Phase is going to do a lot of damage here. But if you'll notice here, so I got a 480 barrier based on both the Necromancer and the Shield combining, so they weren't able to eat through it. So that's why I kind of feel like Necromancer's not really needed for a lot of battles. But what I'm going to show you here is Mandate. The spell here, it's in a Magluine quest or a Harvest quest, I can't remember. But we have 100% to Earth, so I'll just leave it there. What it does is inflict up to 30 blind. With the stat revamp, the Lucky Beast Mage got a pretty significant BTH boost, which is pretty nice. So what this does is you get 2 rounds for every landed hit, so it's 3 hits, so up to 6 rounds. And then the actual power of the effect is literally based on earth resistance on both the choke and the blind. I think it's inflicted with your main stat, so it landed there choking and blinded. So we have 30 blind and 0.722 choke. So now my anima barriers are even more effective because I'm lowering damage. So we've inflicted choke and blind again. So now I'm up to 55 blind for 6 rounds, 491. Do it again. And with this setup, if you can manage to heal your SP or your MP pretty regularly, you're going to be able to cast it more times. So now I'm starting to get into ridiculous territory. I keep landing it. So I've cast it up 4 times. I'm up to 93 blind and 138 choke. Another thing that happened with the stat revamp so far anyway is luck doubled its blocking capability. So you went from 6.25 to 12.5, and that's pretty nice. So as I'm casting, I've basically, normally you would get, if you had a guest out, you would get 3 casts, and then you had your guest upkeep before you would have to replenish your MP. Necromancer, as you all know, is able to heal itself. But Phase is not even on a Lucky Strike, has now given me about 1.5 more MP worth of casts. What I could do is I could then unravel the blood and basically full heal my MP, but it becomes a nuke at that point because the bleed is building. I have all the toggles on Necromancer. And then, so now we've got 200% Earth, so this is fairly the good thing. So now I can show you the absolute extreme here. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go to Summoning Stone, and let's go ahead and do let's go ahead and do the Frost Titan Shield. So Ice is 150. So I'm going to dodgelash here, just based on this. So I'm going to get an Anima Barrier for casting the spell. I'm going to get Massive Choke, assuming that it lands. So I got Choke and Blind. So now I've got 4/4/5 Choke for 6 rounds and 60 Blind. So they hit me about half the time there. And then this will probably put me in unhittable territory now. If it lands, it didn't. However, Choke did, so now I've got 12%. Again, it's going to kill it here, but see if we can see what the blind will jump to. Alright, so obviously Prime Chaos Orb is a staple in order to switch Earth. So we got 120, so that's a pretty good average there. So let's see what we got here. Choking and Blind. Blind is 36. So the damage has already been lowered to the point where it's not really getting through the barrier. And now I can continue lowering that. So now I'm already in dodgelash territory, probably. Continue 91 blind. So as you noticed, based on the reduced damage, I'm just casting Mandate and I'm killing monsters through dodgelash, as well as the damage from Panic and Panic Eat here, which is increasing this guy's. Alright, so here's a monster that is not necessarily a cakewalk. It may resist some of these effects, actually. Choking and Blinded, 42 blind and 61% damage. So wasn't able to get through the barrier. So I'm using Mana Defender to double up with the barrier here until I can know I'm going to be able to block a little bit more often, which should be now 28% damage if it gets through, which should be nothing. Go ahead and switch over here. If I wanted to increase my SP here and my damage, now I'm going to start nuking now that my defense is set up. Dodgelash. Come back on here again, and it's just going to increase my defense. Down to 13% choke, 93 blind. And I'm doing good damage here. Block, block, block. Dodgelash. Also, I carry these for Panic. If I really want to increase phase damage here, as you can see, pretty big. So, actually, no damage taken off, and I can do this versus bosses. It's a little difficult with the boss boosts and stuff, but a lot of times if I can combine, like with what I've showed before, like for example, just stacking Geocastellum. Another thing I can do is combine these guys. So I've already got a 67% reduction in damage. this guy's got 0 to earth. Let's see if I can get it switched over. Go ahead and go with Summoning Stone. And I'm just using a level 5 melee weapon here. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start with Mandate here. And now we begin the process. So I've got a 65 on choke plus a 67 here. So I guess 67% of 65 is what, 40 something maybe? So as you can see, you know, really don't have blocking stats. And who knows what'll happen, even if dexterity remains with the stat revamp. I've long said you don't need, because of the linear nature of it, you don't need to train dexterity to focus on blocking. That's always been a myth. You just need the right mix of items. You know, Summoning Stone by itself, I think it's +9 blocking, or +6 or something. I can't remember exactly. Alright, so didn't get the choke there, but got the blind. Missed anyway. So blind keeps increasing. I'm not being hit. Last 2 times the chokes continuing to so anyone can play dodgelash, but whenever you use the Mandate spell, while you are getting to a better dodgelash position where you can reliably block attacks, it's actually reducing the damage. As you can see, Mandate versus Earth Element by far is the single most powerful defensive spell in the game, not only for damage reduction, but for just blocking. And I can just sit here and cast it over and over and over, as long as I can find ways to replenish my MP, Necromancer, and then this guest combo. So I'm using actually both in one. And as you can see, it's just killing itself because I'm using Mandate. I'll do one more here. I better stop while I'm ahead here with the Prime Chaos Orb. So as you can see, the blind and the choke isn't as strong because Earth is not as big, but here we go. Should see a pretty significant jump. I also own the armor they released. It was, I think it was the 50,000 token package with the dodgelash effect. Sometimes I'll roll it over. So I don't have a dodge build, but I'm able to pretty much dodgelash. And then with the choke, I'm able to just maintain a barrier. So if I do get hit, so if you notice, you don't need to focus on your elemental defense. There's no need for it. Also, what I like to do, you know, if I'm trying to hurry up through mobs, I just Frostfell Crown, Hyper Crit, plus 50 on the pet, and then doing some damage here. And then on the second round, I just come back with Panic. This may kill it, But even if it didn't, the amount of damage that phase would do then is pretty strong. So even if I'm not worried about my defense, I can play offense by inflicting panic. You think, well, that's not that strong. Actually, water's just 50 there. We should get a bit better result here. And it's just constantly replenishing MP. So I've got multiple options. So I've got, with this setup and these specific items, defensively I can stack Geocastellum because I can heal with phase. My shield is Shadowrun Membrane, which will give me a 4-round regen, and I can just stack it over and over and over to heal myself if I want to. I can play defense with Mandate. Invincible Star will stack with Geocastellum. More damage here. Hypercrit, which is damage. And I actually used these 2 spells for damage. So I've got the ability to nuke and play defense all in the same build. But Mandate spell, like I said, is the single most powerful spell in AQ, bar none.